Hi there, my name is Toby, and on this channel I talk about body dynamics and chi energy and the science of chi energy. And on this video I want to talk about the Force in Star Wars and the telekinetic powers of the Force. So I want to start off by demonstrating this to you. I've been doing chi most of my life, and I'm going to demonstrate now the use of the Force. So I'm building up the chi and I'm directing it at this little kettlebell on the floor here. So I'm building up the chi, I'm building up the force. So I'm feeling the force in my body, and I'm going to use the force to affect this kettlebell. So if you watch carefully, I'm building up the chi, building it up slowly, feeling it, concentrating on the kettlebell. And there, I've knocked it over. So, well, all joking aside, as you can see, there was no real miracle here. The only miracle was my highly skillful camera editing. But all joking aside, this is a real thing. The force is real. The chi is real. But why is it we can't do these sort of things? Why can we not actually affect physical matter with the force like that? Well, we can, but we can't do it on a large scale. You see, we need to understand what the force actually is. We need to know the science behind this, and there is a science. But when I say science, I'm talking about Tesla's science. I'm talking about field theory, not the science we are given. The science we are given is utter nonsense. We've been given quantum mechanics and Einstein's relativity and all these materialistic-based sciences, and really we know nothing at all about the force. It's been completely dismissed. You see, Tesla's science is all about the ether, and going back pre-Second World War, 100 years ago, everyone was talking about the ether. The ether was a real thing. And after Einstein, the ether was dismissed as nonsense. But the ether is really chi energy. It's the same thing. It's the chi energy. And this is a non-physical force. It's not a physical thing. You can think of chi or ether as a force of consciousness. It's consciousness itself. And consciousness is not physical. It's not a physical thing. But how does consciousness affect the physical world? This ether, this non-physical force, manifests itself physically. So how does this happen? What is going on here? Now, what I'm doing here in the video is I'm doing just some freestyle movement. But all the things I'm doing in this video, I'm paying particular attention to using the chi. I'm really trying to switch my mind off. I'm not using my brain. I'm not using my thoughts. I'm trying to feel the force, feel the chi, and let the force move my body for me. So this is a sort of telekinesis, and we can all do this straight away. And I'm going to talk a bit more in detail of how this works. You see, if the field of ether, the field of chi, is the field of consciousness, how does this consciousness affect the physical world? Well, it needs to affect it through a system. And we have built a system. We have built a system for consciousness to affect the physical world. And this system is our physical body. It's a very elaborate system. It's like a relay machine. Consciousness can affect the brain, and the brain affects the body, and then the body affects the physical world. So all of us, whatever we do in our body, if I just pick something up with my hand, essentially I'm doing telekinesis. My consciousness, which is not physical, somehow has directly affected my brain, which is physical, and my brain has triggered the body to lift up the thing. And this is still just my own personal chi, my own personal force. When we make a decision to do something in the body, we take this all for granted. We just think, well, I'm doing this. We're not aware that there is a force, and this force is the universal consciousness. It's a universal consciousness. There's a lot going on in there. We're all connected to this universal consciousness, and there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of information in that. And if we can tune into this field directly, we can bypass our brain, bypass our body, and allow this force to move our body directly. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm feeling the force itself move my body. It's not my brain, it's not my thoughts. I'm not directly affecting my body. I am surrendering my body to the force. And this is a sort of indirect telekinesis. Now, the force itself, the ether, is not physical. You can think of it as pure potentiality, infinite potential. And that infinite potential cannot be physical because it is infinite. But when it manifests physically, it manifests as the electromagnetic field. And a better name for this is the dielectric field. The dielectric field is magnetism. And this is the one and only force that is manifest. The one and only force that we can see and measure is magnetism. Everything in the world boils down to magnetism. And this goes against all of modern science as well. Modern science, they think we've got 4 fundamental forces. It basically means they don't understand any of them. We found a force, we call it gravity. What is it? I don't know, but we call it gravity. And then we find another force, magnetism. Oh, there's another one. Oh, we call it magnetism. And then there's 2 more that most people don't know, the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force. Another 2 forces that they discovered and they don't know what they are, so they give them another name. But modern science is searching for the grand unified field theory. They do want to have just one force, but they can never find it because they've dismissed the ether. You can never find that unified field if you do not include the ether. And this goes back to Einstein and Tesla. Einstein partly came in to dismiss the ether. This is a knowledge that has been hidden from us. We've been given a story about science, and it's flat out incorrect. We need to go back to the more holistic science, the grand unified field theory of the ether. And this is a real thing. There is a real science to this, and there's people you can look at. I'll leave the links below to this guy, Ken Wheeler, very clever scientist, mathematician, and he talks a lot about magnetism and how magnetism is the only force in the universe, and that comes from ether. Ether, you can also call it inertia or counter space. There's another guy called Eric Dollard, who is another scientist who talks about the ether, and he talks about it as counter space. And again, it requires some explanation as to what that is. But essentially it means the ether is not physically manifest. There is a force, an underlying force, and this force, I'm calling it the force of consciousness. It is a conscious force. It is a thought energy. The thoughts are not physical. Feelings are not physical. We all have them, but we know they're not physical, but we take them for granted. So how does this non-physical consciousness field force affect the physical world? Now here, what I'm showing you now, this is perhaps the most potent exercise in genuine telekinesis. I'm lying down on the floor in total relaxation. Now, I'm not doing this properly because it takes a long time. I'm sort of helping myself do it. And what I'm doing is I'm using the force directly to stand up. So I'm not allowed to use my brain. I've just got to tell myself to stand up. The force has got to make me stand up off the floor. I can't use my brain to do this. So I did this many years ago. I lay on the floor. It took me about half an hour. And there's a film, Kill Bill. I don't know if you've seen Kill Bill, where Uma Thurman has been in a coma for many years, and she wakes up out of the coma and her legs are paralyzed. She can't move her legs. And she focuses on her big toe, and she's just saying to herself, move your big toe, move your big toe. And 6 to 8 hours later, her big toe twitches. You see, the nervous system is broken, so the brain cannot send a signal down the nervous system to move the toe. So the only way you can move the toe is bypass the nervous system and move it directly with the chi. And this is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to bypass my brain and allow the chi to directly affect my body to stand up. So this is directly telekinesis. I'm not allowed to use the brain. I have to use the force, and the force will spontaneously make me stand up. And this takes some practice, but we can all do this straight away. And I would suggest to be sitting on the chair as you're watching this video, just relax. Your hands are on your lap, or hands are on your legs, and all you've got to do is move one finger. Move one finger, lift one finger up. But you're not allowed to mentally lift the finger up. You're not allowed to use your nervous system. Focus on your finger. Feel your finger with chi. Imagine, visualize your finger going up, lifting up. But you can't use your brain. Just wait and wait and wait. You'll feel the chi, the energy, the blood building up in your finger. You're not allowed to move it, but you may suddenly notice, oh, the finger moved. So you bypassed the nervous system and you directly affected the force to move your finger. This is telekinesis. But it's telekinesis through the relay system of your body. The body is designed as a relay between consciousness and the material world. Now, if I were to try and move that kettlebell directly, or something outside of my body, again, in theory, it could be done. But to move a physical object outside my body without the relay system of my body, it would require a massive magnetic field. You see, that kettlebell I showed at the beginning of the film is metal, so in theory I could affect the magnetic field and knock that over. But the size and the magnitude, the strength of the magnetic field required to knock over that kettlebell would be colossal. You know, we're talking about the strength of an MRI scanner. You know, we've got these MRI scanners, very, very powerful magnetic field they can generate. So for our mind to directly affect the force, to directly create this a magnetic field, the strength of an MRI scanner, and then move something, that's so colossal, the power is so colossal that we just can't do it. But what we can do is affect the magnetic field in a tiny way. And all we have to do is affect the magnetic field in a teeny tiny way inside the brain. So the consciousness affects the field inside the brain. The brain acts as a relay. Tiny little neurons require the teeniest, tiniest, minute electrostatic charge, or the electromagnetic charge. And these are the little neurons firing in the brain, and these then act as a relay, go through the nervous system. The nervous system then affects the chi in your body. You see, your body has got a electromagnetic or electric charge in the body stored up. Your body has a battery. So you've got some energy in the body, and the chi, or the brain, the nervous system, will activate the chi in your battery, and this comes out and moves your body. And then with your body you can lift up and move an object. And that's how it works. But what I'm doing here is spontaneous chi movement. I'm trying to switch off the nervous system, switch off the thinking. I'm not thinking, and just feel the chi move my body for me. And we can all do this straight away. Just stand up there and start moving, but don't try to move. You're not allowed to try to move. You just let the movement happen to you. This I call spontaneous movement. And when you genuinely get this, it is quite disconcerting. Your body starts to move by itself, and you don't know how's it doing this? You have to feel this. It's totally subjective. No one else, again, you're taking me at my word. I could be just doing this and saying that's what I'm feeling. So you have to take me at my word that I'm genuinely feeling the chi, and the chi is moving my body. But if you can practice this and feel this for yourself, then you will understand what I'm talking about. And as I said, this simple exercise, sitting on the chair, relax your body, just try and lift up one finger, but you're not allowed to use the nervous system. You're not allowed to do it how you normally do it. Imagine that you're Uma Thurman, you've just come out of a coma in that movie Kill Bill, and you can't move your hands. You've just got to directly move the finger without the nervous system, and see if you can do it. And science has also done this. Science has also now bypassed the nervous system. People have got a spinal cord injury. They're working on a system where they read the brain waves. A computer can read what you're thinking. Again, it cannot read your thoughts directly. We cannot read or detect the chi or the ether directly. And this is one of the main problems why it's been dismissed. We cannot detect it. It's not physical. All we can detect is the magnetic field, or the electromagnetic field. We can detect brain waves, but brain waves are not thoughts. So the computer will read your brain waves and interpret them as what you want to do in your movement, and then that will go through a different system to an artificial limb with a motor in it, and then the artificial limb will move according to how the computer interprets your brain waves. So essentially you're able to move a robot in your body with your thoughts and bypass your nervous system. But you need a relay system, so the relay system is created with this artificial limb. Now what I'm trying to do here, and what we're trying to do as Jedis, is bypass the nervous system, feel the force directly, and allow the force to move our body. We surrender our body to the force. I'm letting go of my own mind, letting go of my own thoughts, and surrendering it to the force, and allowing the force to move my body, do what it has to do. And this is also how you do healing. So when you do healing, you're projecting energy into your patient, but what you're really doing is not projecting your energy. You're tuning into the force, allowing the force to come through you into the patient, and whatever energy, whatever the force is required by that patient, it comes through you into the patient. This is energy healing. And this again is a sort of telekinesis. You are affecting the other person's energy system, and hence you're affecting their body. But you're not doing it directly through the brain, you're doing it indirectly through the field. And this is very, very low level, simple telekinetic powers. Now, when I was younger, of course, I was fascinated by Star Wars and the Force, and I always believed the Force is real. And of course, as a youngster, I'm going around trying to move things telekinetically. So I'm trying to move a candle flame. Again, that's one of the things you do. You try and move a candle flame, because that only requires the slightest magnetic field, and it might just flicker the candle flame. And I've seen other videos, people, so-called chi masters, doing things with chi, moving things, but I would put it to you, they're all fake. They're all fake. It's all just camera trickery. But if it is real, it has to be the slightest thing. For example, you could put a pin in a cup of water, and the pin floats in a cup of water, and this is a primitive compass, and the pin will spin round to point magnetic north. And you might, in theory, be able to affect the chi to move that pin a little bit. Here, just an aside, what I'm doing here now, this looks a bit weird, but the chi has gone to my head, it's gone to my face. I'm now squeezing all the muscles in my jaw, all the muscles in my face, and in fact, the muscles in my head, the muscles in the cranium, the muscles in the brain, in the head, that move the skull bones, and this is important. So the chi gets to the brain, and this pumps the cerebrospinal fluid into the brain, and moves the blood in the brain. But again, it's spontaneous. When the chi goes to the head, then it just moves the muscles in the head. So now what I'm doing, this is more like telekinesis. I've got two weights in my hand. These are 4 kilogram weights. They're not too heavy, but I have to feel them as weightless. These have got zero weight to me. These are nothing in my hands. So I'm effectively doing telekinesis here. I'm allowing the chi to move my body, hold my body in a good structure. The bone structure must be good to make these weightless. If I have a bad bone structure, I have to do some work in the muscles. If I have a good bone structure and the chi is flowing through the bone structure evenly, no one particular muscle is doing any work. It's highly efficient, and I'm just feeling the flow as if there were nothing in my hands. And this is the rules. You can even try this yourself. Very, very lightweight. But once you've got the feeling of moving your body without doing any work, then you can move up to moving your body with some weight in it and not doing any work. Of course, I am doing some work, but it feels like nothing. It's a subjective experience. I'm experiencing a telekinetic power in that these weights I'm carrying and moving about are weightless. They are nothing to me. They disappear in my hands. And this is the principle of my weight training. See, I do weight training with light weights, not too heavy. And I train until the weight disappears. It feels like nothing. And once I've got to that level, then I increase the weight a little bit. And then I feel it. Okay, I can feel this weight. It's a bit of work. Now I train with this weight until this weight feels like nothing. So I might go up to 5 kilos, in a few months or maybe a year's time. It takes a long time. Then I go up to 5 kilos until 5 kilos feels like nothing. And then I'll go up to 6 kilos and so on and so forth. So this is essentially telekinetic power. So here I'm jumping. And this is quite a lot of work to jump, but I've got to use the chi. How do I use the chi? I've got to spring load my legs. I'm using the tendons and the ligaments, but I'm controlling them through my bone structure, feeling a stretch in the ligaments. This is an elasticity. I create an elasticity in my body, so an elasticity naturally springs. It's a natural bounce back, and of course that's effortless. So my body feels weightless, and these weights feel weightless. To all intents and purposes, I am telekinetically moving my body around. So this is real telekinesis we can all do straight away. And it's the beginning of feeling the chi in the body. Now there are 3 levels to feeling the chi in the body. The first level we can all do. If you hold your hands together closely and just move your hands apart and together, you start feeling a little tingling in your fingers. You might even feel a little magnetic field between your hands, a springiness between your palms. This is the first level of feeling the chi. You're feeling it as a tingling. This isn't electricity. Now, if you can get to that level, then you increase and increase the chi. You feel that go deeper into the muscles. Now, when you feel the chi in the muscles, you'll feel that your muscles contract. But you haven't done any work. Your muscles contract, and this starts your body moving. This is what I was talking about, spontaneous movement. Is what I'm doing here. The muscles are contracting, but I'm not directly doing this with the control of my brain. I'm allowing the flow of chi to do this. So that's level 2. And then level 3 is the hardest, most advanced level. It's deep in the bones. I'm feeling the chi transmit through the bones themselves. See, the bones are hollow, so inside the bone is a fluid, the bone marrow, and I'm going deep, deep into the bones. And the bones are also crystalline. There's a crystalline structure, and crystals are very, very important with chi as well. Crystals are the most stable form of matter. A crystal is the most stable form of matter. What is material? What is manifest? A crystal will stay the same forever. It cannot change. The atoms have become their most stable way they can ever be. So if I have a crystal now, it will be the same in 1,000,000 years. The only thing that would change a crystal is if it gets destroyed, if it gets crushed or heated up. So now I've got to use the bones, the crystal. So this will transmit even greater chi. And the bones are also electrical. There's a thing called piezoelectricity. If you squash a crystal, put pressure to a crystal, it will create a slight electromagnetic current. There's watches, quartz watches. This is piezoelectricity. You can get lighters as well, piezoelectric lighters. You just rub a quartz crystal, it creates a little spark. So these are the 3 levels of feeling the chi. First level we can all do, little tingling in the fingers, tingling in the body. Second level is spontaneous movement. It's gone to the muscles. You feel your body moving a bit. Well, how is it moving? It's not your brain, it's spontaneously moving. And if you can get to the deeper levels of meditation, feel it inside your bones, then you'll feel it transmit through the bones. And the level of the bones, you're also connecting to the universe. See, remember, the Jedi connects to the Force around. The Force is everywhere. You see, what did Yoda say? We are luminous beings, not this crude matter. We are beings of energy. And energy, you can think of energy or the electromagnetic field as the interface between consciousness and matter. Consciousness is not physical. This is the field of consciousness, the ether, pure potentiality. You can't detect this. But the intermediate between that is the electromagnetic field, electromagnetism. This is again, it's hard to register this physically, but it has a physical effect. So the electromagnetic field affects matter, affects atoms. So this is the intermediate between the two. Consciousness and matter is the intermediate is the electromagnetic field or the dielectric field. But of course, really, matter and consciousness are one and the same thing. Everything is just the ether. And you can think of consciousness as fluid ether, a fluid ether, and we're all connected with this fluid ether. But then what is matter? Well, matter you can think of as crystallized ether. The ether can also crystallize and create matter. So we've got both fluid ether, which is consciousness, and we've got crystallized ether, that is matter. But they're both still both still ether. It's like ice and water. Both are still water, but they behave totally differently. Ice is a different thing, water is a different thing. No, they're both still just water. And the science we've got now, the problem is the science is looking at ice, is looking at crystallized ether, and thinking it's a different thing. It's not a different thing, it's the same thing. Every atom is essentially an electrostatic dynamo. It's a little tiny magnetic field, a perfect sphere. You can think of it as a standing wave in the ether, or a standing wave in the dielectric field, a spherical standing wave, a little tiny electromagnetic dynamo. So it doesn't actually have any mass, but the mass is created by the dimensionality, the dimensions of the magnetic field. And I'm carrying on now here, doing more training. And I should just say, you can see my belly also now. My belly, I've had a few surgeries on my belly, and I've got a few hernias there in the belly. They're safe. But again, this tells you I've been through a lot. My body has been through the wars. I've been cut up, chewed up and spat out. And I've healed myself by concentrating on the Force. And now this last exercise I'm doing here, this is a sort of push-up exercise. But it's, again, a freestyle. I'm holding my body weight with my arms. All the things I was doing before, I'm holding my body weight with the legs. So it's quite hard to feel the chi in the legs going down so that your legs don't feel like they're doing any work. It always feels like you're doing some work standing up. So now I'm doing the same thing, but I'm trying to let my arms, my hands, my rib cage and my spine has got to do the work. But I've got to do it in such a way that I don't feel like I'm doing any work. So how is this possible? It's only possible if I concentrate on my bone structure. I've got to get the neutral spine. You see my shoulders are actually going back a little bit. I'm expanding the rib cage, and I'm using the elbows and the wrist and the spine, everything. But what I'm doing is using the tendons. I've got a slight twist and a counter twist in the tendons. So I've created an elasticity in the joints. There's a natural elasticity in the tendons, and I've got to hold my body weight in this elasticity. It's like a spring. So I'm spring loading my body and moving around from the joints, from this stretch in the joints. So I do feel like something. I feel something is happening to my body, but it feels like a really pleasant, lovely stretch. And it doesn't feel like I'm doing any work. It doesn't feel like effort. It feels like pure pleasure. I love it. It feels really good. The moment it feels like hard work, I stop. Because when it becomes hard work, now your brain has got to think about it and you've got to tell yourself what to do. The effortless movement is allowing the chi to do the work for you. This is the real telekinesis. Tune into the chi. The chi is all around. Remember the Jedi slogan, the Jedi mantra. The Force is with me, i.e. the Force is all around us. I am one with the Force. That means me and the Force are one and the same thing. And the one I've added on is I am the Force. So as soon as we know I am one with the Force, well, that means I am the Force. And I just allow the Force to move my body, or to do healing, or to do any task that I want to do. See if you can use the Force with this telekinetic power. But remember, the body is the interface. So you've got to make your body effortless. Then, effectively, this is telekinesis. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Check out these other videos here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.